And which one are you? Okay. So, welcome, Jim.
Thanks very much, Mark. And well, I've now met Mark 3 times, and on the third occasion, he's got me here working, talking to a group of academics. I think maybe I'm going to stop meeting Mark for the future. It's not good for me. I end up doing work. My name's Jim Hargis. I'm a community worker. I've been based in Pier Street, working for this organisation for the past 17 years. Before that, I was a trade union organiser, and before that, an electrical engineer. So much in the way cities develop, people develop. This is a people organisation, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the people organisation and what we do and what we're involved with, and then maybe try to contextualise that with regard to the built environment. St Andrews Resource Centre, we've been here in the building that we're currently in for 40 years, for 30 years. We've organised ourselves as a social services council for 30 years. So with a long-standing history of service to the local community, with a history that's been supported by the local community and has been party to the local community. We engage with the local community on an ongoing basis, on a daily basis in fact. We're not some organisation that's set away. We're in the heart of where it is that we provide the services that we provide, and they're extensive. Where we're located is in the Docklands. We just heard a lot about the Docklands. We're on the edge of the Docklands in a way, because we're just to the east of where most of the development is being taken place. So you can see us there where we've marked up A. We call ourselves Pier Street, not the Docklands. Over here to the east is the Docklands development as it's gone on here for the past number of years, and in that direction there to the west is the rest of the city. Pier Street's a very busy street, and tomorrow I think you're going to Telefonica, which is where that bridge is located there. Telefonica, O2, very good company, they work with us very well, and inside that area there's been an enormous amount of development over the past 15 years or so, and it changed utterly the area in where we work. So, the organisation, St Andrews Family Resource Centre, is an old building. It's not a low, it's 2 stories high, not 8. It's old style, it's red brick. It used to be a school. And the reason it's not a school any longer is because the population went down to such an extent that we didn't need a school any longer. So as people moved out to the new areas that we developed, Ballymun was referenced earlier, the population declined, and the numbers of people that needed to go to the school and family sizes got smaller also. The number of people that went to the school declined substantially, and as a consequence of that, the school was closed. It was falling into disrepair. And a local group of activists decided to pick up and start something quite new and quite different. It started to work with the leaseholders of the building to say, with a difficult situation here in this community, we want to start addressing some of the issues that are arising, the falling population and so on. And we also want to start to provide services for people in the area. And that's what they started to do. And so they got hold of the building, and I think what you can see is that it's a large building. It's an old school. It's a large building, but when they took that on as a group of voluntary activists, they was taking on board a large building, and actually, because they're still around, same people still around, they actually didn't know what it was that they was going to do with it. And so bit by bit they started adding services according to the demand, a bottom-up approach. They listened to what the demand was, and they started putting in the services according to need. They never said, you need this, you need that, you need that. What they said was, what is it that's required? And they started building the services accordingly. Childcare is a key issue. Childcare services have been organised at the building since its inception. Now it's in a dedicated location inside the building, and we facilitate 46 families to go to work. Now, 46 families going to work in our community is an enormous deal. It means 46 incomes, it means 46 qualities of life being improved. It means that parents are able to work, but we also do it in such a way that we actually deal with the real issues that face parents every day when they take their children to school. School finishes at 2:30. Work doesn't finish at 2:30. If you're working 5 o'clock in the evening, you need somebody to go and pick your child up. There's no point in a child being in a childcare centre somewhere else and you being in work in some part of the rest of the city. The most likely outcome from that is you're going to jump in the car, which Dick doesn't want you to get into, drive across the city, pick up your child, look for your employer for some time off and go back. We don't do it. What we do is we go in a bus, purpose-built bus, we go round to the schools, we pick the children up and we bring them back to an after-school service. And we stay there till 6 o'clock in the evening. That's a proper working day. From 8 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock in the evening, we provide the service that's required from the parents, not the service that we think that they should be getting. That's one of a number of services. I'm going to go through quite quickly the remainder of the services in the building, otherwise we'll be here for some time. We came to work for the community from the cradle to the grave. So we start off with childcare, and at the other end of the building we have a daycare centre for the elderly, which we also go around and pick up quite very elderly people and bring them into a daycare, and we also run home health services. Home health services run out of a community organisation means that they're tied very closely to the services that are required and are needed. If somebody doesn't come to our daycare centre during the daytime, we know that we can dispatch a home help worker to that location to find out what's the story, what's the situation. Is there a problem in the house? Has an old person fallen over? Something like that. This is a real service that's provided for real people, needed at grassroots level. We provide adult education also, because we're aspirational for our community. We provide employment schemes because we feel that people should try to learn, improve skills, come onto community employment or job initiative program and go back into the labour market. We provide training services, principally IT. IT is a critical skill. We've provided IT training for the past 17 years or so. A good quality environment. We provide ECDL and basic skills, equal skills courses also. Again, because we're ambitious for the community and because the community is saying to us what we need to learn to get into some of the big offices that are just down the road is computer skills. There's no point if we've got low-level computer skills, we're never going to get into those positions. Clearly issues are going to come up for people, access to welfare rights and so on. Welfare rights it's complicated in Ireland, and therefore an expert in welfare rights helps people to get away from a situation or a culture of dependency into a culture of looking after themselves and working for themselves. Employment services, right at the door, right inside the door in St Andrews Resource Centre, you'll find a job centre, we call it. The reason we call it a job centre is because it makes most sense. People come to us looking for jobs, and mainly, most years, we get over 200 to 300 people a year into jobs. And always hold on to them. Sometimes they fall out of them. Sometimes they're in part employment. But nonetheless, last year we got over 317 placements into education and 204 placements into jobs. All the jobs are very good jobs. Some of them are poor jobs, but they do improve the income. Of course, if somebody's got a childcare problem, we have a childcare centre down at the other end of the building to take care of their child. We do family support as well. We live in a disadvantaged community. There's a lot of difficulties in the area. There's no point in talking around it. And what we do is we provide support and help for that individual or for that family, and we work with that family until such a time as we might be able to be to leave and go on their way again. We have a large heritage project. We run the South Docks Festival every year. We call it the South Docks Festival. We're not about to change calling it the South Docks Festival. And we're not going to change it to the Docklands Festival, for instance. It's the South Docks Festival. We've been running it now for 26 years, and we intend to run it for another 26 years. It's a celebration of our identity as South Docklanders, and we celebrate in such a way that we raise money from the local community, from the local business community, to provide that that heritage project. The main building that we have, it's a large one. There's a lot of facilities in there, but it's only one of a number of buildings because we've been there for 40 years. We've been working and we've been building and we've been growing. We're an ambitious community. We're keen to deliver additional services for more people, and people brings me to what the organisation is about. It isn't about the infrastructure of the building at all. It's about the people that come in through the door. When we work in our building, what we're talking about is the individuals that we're working with, not what it is that they need. We're not prescriptive in that regard. What we're looking for is for them to tell us what it is that they need and for us to provide that service for them if it's at all possible. We have meeting rooms, office space, clerical support. We have a main hall that's dressed for a dance. It's a very flexible space. We have a large staff. At one time, before the Docklands development started, we was the largest employer in the area. We was the only employer in the area. But most of our staff were on job initiative schemes or community employment schemes. They work well for a large number of people. We work in a large number of different organisations. You can see there's a spread of them there. There's a large number of computers. We have a full internet access and so on through a couple of different networks and free Wi-Fi points and so on. External agencies that use our building are listed there below, and they include things like Reiki and Aikido, ballroom dancing, Irish dancing, politicians' clinics. It's important to get tied in with the local politicians, and they all have their clinics there. Vincent de Paul is there. This is where people can come and get help from the Vincent de Paul. This is our organisational structure. It's very simple. It's very flat. You can see across the top line that top line there, there's one coordinator, one manager only, and he's the board of management's presence on earth. And the rest of those groups there are subgroups that made up of members of staff from the organisation as well as members of the local community. So there's no point in running a childcare facility or a youth group unless there's some input from parents about what it is that the services that we're going to provide, and this is the methodology of doing it. The next row down is where the day-to-day management of those services is gone on. So you can see we put the input from the local residents above the managers that are actually delivering the services with their staff. The Junction is a new building that we've taken on board in partnership with Dublin City Council and with the corporate sector locally as well. The Junction, it's a new initiative because we had a big building but it wasn't big enough, we decided. And what we're trying to do there is to deliver enterprise services, an enterprise hotspot during the daytime. During the night time, what we deliver is a youth cafe. We started getting difficulties since the downturn with a gang problem on the streets. And so with older teenagers, we bring them into there in the evening time if they choose to come. It's attractive, it looks well. You can see there's pictures of it there before it was furnished. It's got IKEA furniture in there now, big television screens and so on. We put on Sky Sports and so on. The young people like to come in there. Rather than hang around outside the shops, they're coming in and engaging with us. And once they're in there, maybe they'll engage with a youth worker or two. Gloucester Street Sports Centre, again in partnership with Dublin City Council, started addressing the health of the issue of the community. Some years ago, there was a programme on television that said that the Pearse Street community was the most unhealthy in the entire country. The community didn't take it very well. But beyond not taking it very well, we've gone on and we've now managed to organise a sports centre. And it may be that some of the older people in the area and so on, would continue in poor health. But what we're determined to do with regard to the sports centre is to engage with the schools and to engage with young people in the area so that they continue to work and get an ethos of being fit and remaining fit. We have social housing units, one of the first type of its kind in Ireland, and we link with Trinity College just up the road, providing us with a youth space. And so we come to the built environment. There's two lists there. The Docklands list is where there's the likes of State Street, apartments, restaurants, theatre, O2, Google, UBS, hotels, you can read it. In Pearse Street, we've got St Andrew's Resource Centre, that's us. We've got the Pearse House Flats, the largest flat complex in Ireland. We've got a butcher's, hardware store, hotel, fish and chip shop. If you get Mark to take you the right way to Telefonica tomorrow, you'll see all of this. You'll walk down Pearse Street, won't you? Yeah. Maybe you'll take you around a different way. But if you walk down Pearse Street and turn left at Mackin Street, you can see that on the wrong side of the road, there is still dereliction. And you will see on the wrong side of the road, right across from the apartments, that there's still small garages that are trying to run businesses. They've been trying to run businesses there for many years. But just across the road from them, there's new apartments. I've drawn a yellow line there. And that yellow line indicates where the developments have gone on and where there are gated communities. Although, to be fair, in the Dublin Docklands, there's not many gated communities, but there are a number, and they're growing. And then in the blue circles, with my spray can, on paint, very good, I've forgotten how to use it, I've marked out where the likes of Markovich Houses, Pearse House, and other flat complexes, there's more than that in there. So, is it a tale of two cities? One on one side of the yellow line and one on the other side of the other. St Andrew's FRC, that's Family Resource Centre, has the highest share of professionals in Dublin City. It's a statistical quirk, because on the wrong side of the yellow line, there's a huge number of professionals. On our side of the yellow line, there's hardly any. We have relative low levels of unemployment, which is true on one side of the yellow line, but on the other side of the yellow line, it isn't true at all. We have ingrained long-term unemployment in them flat complexes that we can't shift. Private rented accommodation accounts for 57% of all the housing in the area. That leads to a transience of people. People are coming in, they're moving, they're living there, renting, and then they're going. Third level of education accounts for 62% of all residents, a statistical quirk. More than double the national average, but not where we live. Across the road, it's entirely different. These figures point to a strong influx. These are not my words, these are coming from a report by Trust House. These figures point to a strong influx of highly educated people into this previously disadvantaged catchment area over the recent years, says an external researcher. A tale of two cities. These pictures there are quite interesting. That picture there is the back of Trinity College. On the inside of Trinity College, it's lovely. They were talking about the fields, the green fields. That's on the other side of that building. We don't get to see the fields. When we're walking down Pearse Street, that's what we get to see, the back of Trinity College. To be fair to Trinity College, in recent years, their development of the area has been much better, and their buildings now face out towards Pearse Street. They don't just face in, but they used to. And their science space on the corner that you'll walk past tomorrow, and their two new buildings on Pearse Street are excellent and bring life to the city. And a new entrance into a station. I'll come back to that in a minute. A new entrance, an east entrance into Pearse Street Station. It was one of the community gains that we got from the building of a building on Pearse Street. Photograph below that, That's Pierce House, recently decorated. 19.3% of all houses fall into the category of local authority housing, which is more than twice the national average inside our area. Lone parent households make up 43.7%, more than double the national average. This is the same area that threw up the last lot of stats. Primary education, the highest level reached by 11% of the population. There's gated apartments on the increase. These figures point to an existing population left behind in recent developments. Employment is a key issue. In our view, when you tackle employment, you tackle all of the other issues that follow in the wake of long-term, high-level unemployment. You start tackling things like drug addiction, crime, and so on. So there's currently 2,592 individuals signed on the live register in the South Docklands area. The new unemployed, though, are presenting for the first time for the past 3 or 4 years with new issues which include high levels of debt and mortgages and children in university. They're in a real bind because now they can't get a job. They've got debts, they've got a mortgage, they've got expectations of earning, and they're going to find it very difficult to earn in the current economy because they're of a certain age. I'm not going to say what age is, but it's upwards of 45, and they will find it difficult to get back into work, even though this term new unemployed, it's a term I don't like, nonetheless this new unemployed are well skilled. They fit into that characteristic that was high professionals that I was talking about earlier on. The skill-based and educational level unemployed are changing, that's quite clear. And the traditionally unemployed, don't like that term either, but I can't think of another one, they're more likely to undertake an employment support program like community employment within a local organisation like ourselves. Non-traditional, or the new unemployed, are much more likely to turn to an internship with, say, O2 or somebody like that. That's provided by the private sector. Clearly, the new unemployed are not as comfortable coming into an organisation like ours as the more traditional unemployed. And clearly, the traditionally unemployed are not that keen on going to work for free with a multinational in the area. Long-term unemployment remains stubborn and has remained so for many years. It's not anything that we wasn't able to do, it's just the way that it is, and it seems to be across the rest of the state also. And the additional debts of the new unemployed are having additional and unexpected impacts. And those impacts include the fact that the suicide rate goes up. It includes the fact that they're unable to get back and they get a feeling of complete loss because they think that they're going to get re-employed within 6 months, and if within 8 months or 9 months or 12 months they've not been re-employed, the chances of getting re-employed are slim. They may have good skills. The issue that results from double income households remain. In this state where if you've another income coming into the house, you don't continue to get social welfare payment benefits. So it means that you're dropped off of the live register. You become non-employed. You're not unemployed anymore, you're just non-employed and you can't sign on. It means that you don't qualify for any of the state supports, like back to enterprise or back to education allowance. These are key things to get people back into the workforce. But if you're not signing on, you don't qualify for them. So in this state, what we do is we manage to shuffle them people down to one side and conveniently forget about them. Employment supports provided locally are from the local employment service, including adult guidance, welfare rights, scholarships, enterprise services. What we're doing here is trying to show a picture of a resilient organisation, a resilient community who are determined to keep their identity and push on to better things soon. This is not a community that's holding its hand out. This is a community that's been prepared to stand up and fight for itself, and has done for the past 40 years or so. There's rapid change going on in this area. Communities are very complex. They're more complex when there's rapid change going on. And the built environment and the impression it adds to that complexity. There is a need to be inclusive. Tokenism doesn't work with the community I work with. They know the difference between tokenism and being included. The station entrance that was part of the community again for the new Trinity College building on Pierce Street closes at 7 o'clock in the evening. So one has to wonder, who was they building the station entrance for? But it certainly wasn't the residents on Pierce Street, because that's when they'd be using it, and that's when they close it down, when the people leave the offices. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Jim. I know it's very keen that you gave that perspective, because when you go down tomorrow to Telefonica, you will see the Docklands, and there are a number of very successful multinationals, and the usual array of financial sectors and a mixture of large and the small SME. But I could see that from your perspective, when I spoke to you, you represent particularly, say, the unemployed. And one of the questions you gave me when I was described the title of our cost action was, well, actually, quite a number of people you represent can't afford the normal laptops or whatever it is, the access to the internet, so they become disenfranchised.